guys. All right, everyone. So, hi, my name is Keisha Nicole, and I am the host and producer of the Oh Hell No podcast. And today is my first show on Fireside, and I'm so excited to be on this platform. And I have invited some of my favorite guests. They are a repeat guest of my podcast. I have two podcasts, actually, the Oh Hell No podcast and Side Talk. Mark, I see you in the audience. Thank you for being here. Conell and Rhonda, can you go ahead and turn on your cameras so that we can get started with our interview?
Okay. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Keisha?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
So it doesn't. Okay. So unfortunately, I'm not seeing where it says camera when I push
Oh,
that
okay.
button.
Let me
What
know.
was-
I think this is what I had to do.
Okay.
Or maybe I should.
Yep.
Yes.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So, welcome Rhonda and Conell Hollins. They are certified premarital and postmarital instructors, divorce preventionists, marriage officiants, and marriage ministry leaders at Family Christian Center, which is the 13th largest church congregation in the nation. So, welcome to Fireside.
Thank you for having
thank
us.
you.
You forgot I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a husband. Shoot.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
I got so many more adjectives, but it's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. And you guys are authors now. They have written their first book, Marriage Material,
Yes.
Pre and Post Marital Training Guide. So
Yes.
congratulations, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
That was another baby. We just had a baby, and that was another baby. I got twins this year. Keisha.
Yes.
Twins.
You guys definitely did. So I want to start by asking you guys a petty question. Sometimes, because you guys have been on my podcast a number of times, sometimes when I'm saying, okay, how am I going to introduce them? I'm like, should I say Rhonda first? I'm like, hell yeah, I should say Rhonda first. I'm going to say Rhonda and Conell. But then I'm like, well, no, it's his last name. Technically, she took his last name. So it's Rhonda and Conell Hollins. So how should I say it? Rhonda, does it ever annoy you that it's always the man's name first? How do you feel about that?
No, for me, no. I don't mind it because I actually like his last name. So I think it's so cute. I moved up in the alphabet as soon as I married him. But I guess that's part of being married. There's certain things that I fight about. That's not one of them.
Yeah.
I really like it. I like his last name. I like Rhonda Hollins. It sounds really good. I think I actually brought some value to him.
Of course. But it's funny you say this. We don't have the argument about this, but we talk about it every so often.
We do.
Well, I tell her, if you remember when you were a kid, you can only eat lunch when your last name was called.
That's true.
So I tell
Oh
her
my
all the
God.
time that
I know what you're about
I
to
moved
say.
her up. Like because of me, she eats early now. So
Whatever.
that's all I got to
No,
say.
but not even the moving up thing, but just because you guys are like a duo, you're a team,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
Rhonda and Conell, or Conell and Rhonda.
Either way, but it sounds good though. Either way you say it sounds good. That's all that matters.
Either way, it sounds
rolls
good.
off the tongue.
But no, I don't get offended because I think you hit the nail on the head. It's because I do feel like we're a team, and so when he's shining, I feel like I'm shining, and then vice versa when it flips. So it's a win for both of us. So I wouldn't care which way you said it, as long as you just say it. As long as you say that's my husband and that I'm his wife, I'm usually fine with that. That's most important to me. So
That's true, but it's funny again that you say this because it has me thinking.
Oh, God.
Some men do feel
terrible pastime for you.
some men do feel devalued if you say the wife's name first for some odd reason, where it shouldn't matter. Where they feel like as the head of house or as the head of this marriage or whatever you want to call
Right.
it, like why their name should come first. But that's just society telling them that as well.
Yeah.
So you fall in line with what society has said, but in essence, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We both play our position well.
Well, I'll tell you this. See, we can go from a just a everyday life standpoint, or we can go from a spiritual or biblical standpoint. And biblically, I have to go back to that. And I think that's another reason why I'm not bothered by it. But when Adam first named Eve in the garden, her name was one man. So he gave her last name, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a combination of both, being her, being his rib. So no, for me, I think I personally just don't see anything wrong with it because I'm confident in where I stand. He makes me feel valued. He talks a lot of mess, don't get me wrong, but he makes me feel valued.
Take it.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about some real stuff, right? So
Okay.
you guys are, therapists for couples, but all couples have squabbles. So
Yes.
share with us what your last disagreement was and how you resolved it.
Ours?
Yep.
I'm pretty perfect.
Oh, please.
Lies.
I mean, I would think any argument typically centers around some lack of communication or miscommunication.
Yeah.
So I think ours had to do with miscommunication, if anything.
I'm trying to think. When was it? Wait a
Let me
minute.
see.
Oh, I can tell you. I remember. Hold on. It had something to do with we recently just had a baby, right? And so with us having the baby, he's exhausted, I'm exhausted, and we're taking turns, right? About who's going to take the baby. But I will be honest, I feel like I carried him a whole lot longer, right? In that whole 9 months, and then I carried all the weight and all this or whatever. So I said to him, I was just like, well, can you hold him down and so that I can get some sleep and get some rest? And he was like, I was just with him all night the other night. And I said to myself, you were just with him all night the other night. I had him 9 months in me. I could not sleep.
But
I got to see. See, he's about to say
I'm
something.
saying that-
I don't want to
that don't
start another
count.
argument. I just want
That
It's
does
coming.
not count.
It's coming.
Like that was like 8 months ago. Like
It was 8 months ago.
We're so far removed from that situation now. It's like he's here, so we have to do what's best for him in this moment. If I could help you carry that child, I wouldn't.
Oh, no.
But I'm saying,
I know
I'm
you
saying,
would.
like we have to focus on the here and now. We can't go. If you live in the past, you cheat on your future. So focus on your future.
No,
So
now I
what
gotta
did you-
cut him.
how did you
Okay,
guys
'cause this is what
resolve?
happened? And
who worked.
The
Who stayed,
miscommunication is that
what
I'm
did
sorry,
you say?
say
Keisha?
Keisha.
I said, how did you resolve it? Who stayed with the baby? Who did it?
He stayed with the baby.
Of
He
course,
did.
I played my role. I understand that Rhonda, 9 months is a pretty long time to be carrying a child. And I realized, like, women, you go through a lot. You have to do a lot. And
Yeah.
so I became sympathetic and understanding, and I realized the errors of my own ways.
No, that was honestly that's what it was. The way we resolved it is I just said to him, if I go down, everyone goes down. And I made a
Facts.
joke and I said, let's just keep it real. When either one of us gets sick, who acts like the bigger baby? Like if who moves through it, and let's just lean in who's stronger in this area. Now, if it had something to do with building our finances or something like that, that is Conell's domain, right? I mean, that's what he does. That's his strength. So we lean in there. But I said, my strength is I don't get sick often. So if I'm sick, I must be really sick. So let me get some rest. And it's because I'm not getting any sleep that I'm not feeling well. So let me get some rest. Let me store up. I'm only going to need 1 day down, but then after that, I got you. And so then he was like, that's true. He just said that was true.
I had to actually step outside of my own self, though, because in that moment when you're having those disagreements, it's because you're coming from a place of selfishness. So in my mind, I'm thinking about the sleep I'm not getting versus not realizing, like, she works hard. She oversees this family. She does a lot for us. And so in that moment, I had to realize, let me help my wife. Because in return, she's going to make sure I sleep too at some point.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going
And
to
I
be a
did.
one-sided situation. So
It's so
really
true.
about
And you know what I also noticed too about men? I feel like my husband does not acknowledge when I say I'm not feeling well. Like he doesn't want to believe it. He doesn't want to see Superwoman go down. So it's like, no,
Right.
you're not sick. Like you're fine. You'll be fine. Like, and when you're like, listen, dude, I need to like get some sleep. You need to take over. I'm sick,
Exactly. And you're right. I think it is. It's because, and sometimes we do it to ourselves though, Keisha, because, we'll push through when we're sick, but when they're not feeling well, they stop everything. They're done. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
He will lay out talking about, I'm feeling chills. And I'm like, what? And then, what'll happen? It's the opposite. I treat him like he's a punk or something. I'm like, oh, you sick? Oh,
I'm
really?
your baby. I become your baby. I'm the fourth baby.
Yes, he does become my fourth baby, but it's because
Excuse me.
it's because he won't allow anything else but that. And so in a sense, I kind of respect that. I've become envious of that, that when he says he's done, it's done. It's just done in the house. But when I'm said I'm done, it takes a minute. I have to go through some convincing. I have to become, a lawyer. But when I did so, he did listen to me, and I did get back up again. But it made me, how do I say it? It made me love him a little bit more, because I was like, I really work hard. And he was like, you do. And I was just like, thank you. And then I slept good too. I didn't think anything else of it. I slept so good.
Right. All right. So, guys, Valentine's Day is coming up, and some people celebrate, some people don't. I think Valentine's Day should just be a day where you're reminded to love on each other just a little bit more than you usually do. But for a
Yeah.
lot of people, they are in relationships where things have kind of gone left or fizzled out. So, I have two questions for you.
Okay.
Okay, you guys just had a baby.
Mhm.
And when you have a baby as a woman, sometimes, your body goes through different changes and you don't feel sexy. Also, you're taking care of this baby, you're exhausted. And then you kind of say, well, I know that my husband wants to have sex or whatever, but I'm just tired. I don't feel like it. I have this baby, right? But you can't neglect that responsibility.
True.
So, one, what would you say? First of all, how did you handle that situation, and how did you get back into that intimacy role with Connell? Two, what advice would you give to someone who just had a baby and is struggling with getting back into that romantic role? And then the other question, I'll ask it after because it's a lot. So we'll start with those two.
Okay.
Can I answer part of it and you take the whole thing?
Oh yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
just in reference to the day you were saying it's a chance for you to love on each other. I
Oh
think
yeah.
I think you should be doing that every day regardless.
Right.
Hmm.
I said extra, Connell,
Right.
extra,
I know.
extra.
I was agreeing with you. I apologize. I just want to say it out there again. Let a
Yeah.
man say it because a woman said it so well already.
No, yeah.
But
He's married.
because as a man, we kind of only get caught up on those certain holidays, those certain birthdays, or we're giving flowers, or we're giving um, credence to how beautiful you look and things like that. We're not saying it all the time.
That's
So
true.
I hands down think a man should be saying that every day and giving his wife or fiance, girlfriend words of affirmation every day. Because if she's not getting it from you, she's getting it out there in the world, and whether you know it or not, like that's the devil creeping in.
Yeah, it is.
Because like though she doesn't need it from them, if you're not seeing it and she does hear it out there, well, that first thank you can seem like she's flirting,
Yeah.
or something to that effect. I just wanted to say that.
That's
But I'll
true.
give the rest of the question to Rhonda because it kind of pertains to her.
Yeah.
Because she was sexy pregnant or the day after she wasn't pregnant to me, but
Thank
that's
you.
nonetheless.
Thank you. Honestly, what he just said meant the world to me. What he did, and he's done it with all of our pregnancies, but I feel like he's gotten better with age. He's more mature. And then with us having two other children and things like that, he really encouraged me all the way through. He was always like, especially when I was pregnant, he would be rubbing my belly, he'd be putting oil on my belly and just saying, "You look so beautiful, pregnant. You look so beautiful." And then afterwards, he's like, "Don't even," he said, "Don't get in your head and worry about the weight." But you know how it is for a woman. You worry about your weight. I didn't feel sexy. And then I remember one time I had milk in my hair. I'm holding the baby. I was just sitting there and I was in a daze and I was so irritated. And then I was irritated with him because he comes in, he's looking good and refreshed. And I look like, oh, like hell. You know what I'm saying? Like really, like, it just really looked, it didn't look good to me and I didn't feel good. So one of the things that I did, thank you, babe. One of the things that I did is I told him how I was feeling, and I told him I had weight goals, and I said I really need you to help me get out and do this, or if I get sneaky and I want to really go in there and get some sweets or snacks or something like that, stop me, hold me down, but just say, hey, I know this is not what you want to do. Don't make me feel like a little kid, but I really need your help and everything because I just don't feel like myself. And I really didn't. And then on top of that, if you add on just the psychological,
Right.
that you're feeling anyway, your hormones are all off base anyway. It was just so much. And so I started showing him when I was going to eat and working out, and he would eat it with me. And so then we started losing weight together, and I was feeling so happy. And for you all may not know this, but I gained 70 pounds with my last pregnancy, and I am within 10 pounds. I think when I last checked, I'm 9 pounds away from my pre-pregnancy weight. And I'm just like, thank you. Like that was a lot of stuff, but he helped me. And so the way that it got, where we were able to connect again is he made me feel so sexy. He really did. It is a man's job. And I'm being clear with you. Everyone says, oh, he needs to bring home the bacon. Well, first he's got to make it sizzle before he can bring it home and cook it, And so he had to make me feel loved. He had to create an atmosphere of me feeling loved and appreciated. And he just really did a good job of it. He didn't rush me. He just always let me know, you're looking great, or he would make me feel a part of it. And he didn't have to ask. I was the first one. I was like ready, like I was like, I'm not where I want to be, but I want to be with you, and I showed him, and it just really, I just felt like it made us closer. It made us tighter than before. And I just feel like we've been through a lot and just in general in life, but I just truly feel like we can get through anything. And so Valentine's Day, that's cute. Don't get me wrong, but I just love those everyday moments like you were talking about, Keisha, and you were talking about, babe. I just love those everyday moments where I just feel appreciated and heard. And to me, that is sexy all day. That's Valentine's Day every day for me. So.
But what advice would you give to women who had just had a baby and they're just feeling like that is not a priority for them right now because of the way they look, psychological stuff? Like, what would you tell someone who came to you and said, look, I don't really feel like doing anything. I would rather if he went out there and got it someplace else. I'm just not into it. Like, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, one, recognize your hormones are out of whack. And so don't make a decision or make a permanent decision in a temporary circumstance, because the way that you're feeling in this moment is not going to last. But just take a moment and take a breather. Do your own thing where you just need some mommy time. Just the second thing I would suggest is handing over the baby, handing over the reins to your significant other, your mate, or to a family member that can take the baby or so, just so you can get away. Girl, go get a spa day. Girl, go and look at the things you want to do. Then 3, I would say, write down your goals. Now that you've felt what it felt like to almost feel like yourself again, write down your goals. What do you want to do? What would make you feel better? And then include your mate in on the journey so that they know and they're not rushing you. Because literally, don't get me wrong, sex can't be everything, okay? And if you make your relationship just based upon that, then you can do little things like that by saying, oh, I don't even want to. They can go with someone else, because you don't even value them either. You don't value them and you don't feel valued by them back and forth. So you really don't want to set that precedence, because you'll turn up later and say that was the worst and the most terrible decision I ever made, by telling my mate to go on as though that they're not valued, or to invite somebody else in. That's when you have real hell in your life, and you don't want that. So those would be my tips.
And if I could add to that, just self-reflection, because if you're talking like that, then obviously it might be something more internal, like what's it called?
Postpartum.
Postpartum.
You might possibly have postpartum.
And it's okay to seek help in that if need be.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't want to seek help. They feel like it's something wrong with them. No, something will be wrong with you if you don't. So yes, we're telling you, go and get the help that you need. And I'm in agreement with you all the way. But yes, write down that list. What's important to you? What are you trying to achieve first? But before you do all of that, just take a break. You just had a baby. You're a queen. You did what you had to do. Take a break.
Absolutely. So now on the flip side of that, there are a lot of people who are in relationships where there is no longer any intimacy. And for whatever reason that is, they are just coexisting, raising their children, paying bills, and not really connecting. What would you say that people who are in a situation like that, young and older, what do you think that they should be doing about that situation?
Can I go first?
Yes.
Cool.
I'm gonna, but I got something.
Defer to your boy. I would definitely say that if you're in that situation, it's something that first off you need to talk about.
Yeah.
Because if the reason you're in that situation in the first place is because somehow, some way, the communication has broken down. Well,
Completely.
you just been resolved to the fact you're conditioned to just coexist, like you were just saying. Like, we're just in this. We're gonna go through these motions. We're not gonna worry about anything. Like, you're content with being, I don't want to say happy, but you're content with the situation versus being happy, being excited about the situation, being excited about the possibility of what's next for us. You're just okay in this space. So first of all, I would say you got to find a way to get out of that space, and that starts with talking. That starts with doing something outside the norm, whether it be going for a walk and talking, going for a drive and talking. Everything comes back to talking because the fact of the matter is we've forgotten why we were in this in the first place.
Exactly.
We've lost something, and whether you know it or not, those conditions do start to happen as your children get older, and they're not as reliant on you. You start forgetting, like, why were we even together other than the children? Therefore, you just start conditioning yourself to just be in the same space together, but not talking. Again, communication is essential in every part of your marriage, whether it be the first year, the 20th year, the 30th year. We can't stop communicating our needs, especially.
Yeah.
Like, what do we still need from each other? What do we want
Come
from
on,
each
baby.
other?
Say it.
Like, we have to talk about these things, and that's probably why people are in those situations, because they just stopped.
Yeah, they stopped and they've allowed a silent killer in. Like silence literally kills a relationship.
True.
But I would tell you, can I just be frank? Can I just be real direct? I don't know how people accept it. Whenever I get ready to speak extremely, blunt, I always ask for permission. So do I have permission to say this?
Yes, absolutely.
It's literally the building blocks, okay, of your relationship. And a lot of times people don't want to admit that they've done everything and they haven't left anything for their marriage, their relationship ahead of time. So once they walked into the relationship, they've sown their wild oats, but they haven't left anything to keep for them in their relationship. And so then they come in with these unspoken rules, these comparisons of other people that take away, and then they sit around looking at their mate thinking, well, I had it this way, I liked it this way, used to be good with this person. And it literally, if you think about it, they say it all the time, comparison is the thief of joy. You can't have joy in your relationship if you have all these other people that are tied to you sexually, right? We call them soul ties, but they're tied to you sexually, and you have too much confusion, so you can't even focus on the person you're with. So you just get quiet because that's the only peace you get from all the thoughts that are running in your mind, So it's very important that, one, I agree with my husband that you want to make sure you talk with your mate to find out what happened, what changed, what is the reason. But start off like, what are my expectations? What did I expect that was going to happen? What did I want? What am I not getting? And then be okay with the answer, because a lot of people want to ask tough questions, but they don't really want a tough answer back. What if they say, I'm not attracted to you because of the way that you look, you put on weight, or your hygiene isn't the way it used to be. I don't like your attitude. I don't like the way you speak to me anymore. Those things. But if you never say it, it can never be fixed, and I'm telling you this right now, a closed mouth can never be fed.
Facts.
If you want to be fed in your relationship and you want to be taken care of, say what you need, say it with as much grace as you possibly can, because you're supposed to love that person that's sitting on the other side of you. And then you guys come up with a plan together. This is what I need in order for me to be happy. I can't be with you if, and Conell and I have this. We have our deal breakers and we have our non-negotiables. Non-negotiables for us are things that I must have in order for me to be just happy with you. Okay. Deal breakers, everybody gets. That's like, man, if you do this, I'm out. I'm talking about the things I need to stay in. And I'm not talking about staying in the house. I'm talking about mentally, because you can be emotionally divorced from someone. You can be sitting right next to someone and completely checked out and somewhere else. It happens all the time. So I would clearly say, I need to know, hey, Conell, I need my PDA. I need you to take me out for a date. I want to date your mate night. And we say this all the time. I want you to hold my hand. Tell me I'm sexy if I'm sexy. Don't let nobody else tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told him exactly that, because what am I hiding it from him for?
So sexy.
I liked it though. I liked it, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
You definitely have to ask for what you need and speak up, because if you're not communicating that, your other half is not going to know. Because sometimes People just don't know, you know?
Nope.
All right. So, I have you two always loved your extended families, meaning your in-laws? And if you haven't, how did you work through that? What advice would you give to
This is our
people who
favorite.
are struggling with in-law issues?
Well, we
Keisha,
call them. Can I say the joke?
Why are you?
Let me speak.
Why are you trying to
Let me
wrestle up some
speak.
things? I had peace on Sunday, so you brought this question up. Like, we were past all this.
Oh my God! Can I please
So,
hand up, teacher? May I
In
respond?
Rhonda's case, it's in-laws and extended family. Let's be clear.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Can
let
I,
me be.
Can I
clear.
answer mine? Because mine is gonna be quick.
Nope. I have a joke real quick. 'Cause
Okay,
you went
go ahead,
first
go
last
ahead.
time. Okay. So this is the thing. This is what we always say in our premarital classes, and it really stemmed from our issue. But what is the difference between an in-law and an outlaw?
I don't know.
An outlaw is wanted.
Corny. Cornball.
Okay, so this is the thing. I love my in-laws now. I love them now. It took a while though, but when we first came in,
I thought you loved her before we got married. Before my father passed away too. She had her moment. She was cool.
no, I want to be honest, I didn't. Okay, and I really didn't. But it was because it's such a hard bond to break up when a mother and a son, and it wasn't like Conell was a mama's boy, but with Conell's father, he had passed and everything right soon after we got married, it created this dynamic that wasn't there, and it made it rough. Like, so things that were slightly irritating, now it became, a much larger issue. So I'm going to let you say what you need to say, and then I can go from there.
You can do you.
I can?
Yeah, because mine, her parents, they were, other than her mother calling me by the wrong name on purpose in the beginning because she wanted to check me.
Yeah.
She was kind of saying to me I don't need to know your name yet because you're not a part of this family. So other than her checking me on that,
come on,
part of the family, she knew my name. Her father was always welcoming. Her brothers and sister always welcoming. The only thing I had to overcome was a simple fact, if we can talk about her sister's relationship with her husband at the time wasn't the best. So obviously, you're going to project that. Mm-hmm. So being I was coming right behind him, they were like, well, are you another one of him? Because showing me all the good stuff up front, and then you're going to turn into him. Yeah. So I definitely had to make sure that I was who I said I was. And I wasn't giving out any false pretenses. Mm-hmm. But other than that, once they saw my heart and realized I was the same person, day after day, year after year, I mean, they couldn't have been any. They love me more than they love her. So they were literally my own family after a certain point.
They love Conell. They don't love him more than they love me, but
facts.
they love
Keisha,
him.
I still do to this day. I have a key to her parents' house. Ask Rhonda where her key at. Thank you. That's all I'm saying.
Is it right? I don't know where the key is. Okay?
You ain't got one, Tommy.
No,
you ain't got no
I
job.
have one.
You ain't got no key.
Okay, whatever. No,
we can share mine. If I got a key, you got a key because we married. But you got to wait till I come home to get in.
Shut up. Anyway. It was tough with that, but honestly, his mom was tough on me, but it's really the other family members that were extremely hard on me initially, if I may, be direct. And we always encourage people that come through our classes, and this is the advice that we give. It's really important that if depending on whoever it's affecting, because we've seen it the other way around where it's the wife's family giving the husband just so much hell he doesn't even want to be in a relationship. We've seen it both ways. But what we always say is whoever's parents they are, it is their job to address it on the behalf of your mate, right? That hands down works out. And it's like when we had our biggest issues, it's because I kept trying to address it, hey, you're not going to speak to me that way. Hey, you're not going to just pop up over my house, unannounced. Those things all happened, and when that was going on, it was like oil and water, so much friction that was happening. So then we, at the time, I talked to my dad and I asked him if it was okay. I was like, can I talk to my dad? Because I don't know how to really deal with this, because I want us to have a great relationship, because the whole reason I married Conell is because he has a huge family, and my family's much smaller in comparison to his, and I wanted that big family feel, but I didn't know what all goes along with it because I never had that experience. And so I came to my dad, and my dad comes from a big family, but they're very disjointed, and everybody lives all the way around, everywhere around the United States. And so my dad said, Conell has to be the one. And he told Conell the same thing. He said, it can't be her because they're just going to hate her. It's going to vilify her. And if you love her, you got to protect her, right? Even from your family, And I really think Conell just stepped up with that. It's like he needed that direction. And then, if I may say, with Conell's father passing, I think that he would have maybe gotten that advice from his dad, had he been there at the time, and he didn't have anyone to speak to. And I don't know, I felt closer that he had my dad to talk to in that moment, to bring some clarity, because he knew my dad loved us both. And if you ask Conell, he loved Conell more, okay, apparently. But it really worked, and he went to his family and told them. He was just like, hey, you can't speak to my wife that way, you can't talk to her that way. And he really put some rules in place. That's the second thing I would say. You definitely need rules. The third is, if it's a female family member versus another female, your wife, or a male family member against a male family member, don't allow your mate to be put through the ringer. Like, sometimes they put you through an initiation process, and you got to watch that. And I thought what Conell did, he told them, he said, no, she's not going to be picking y'all up. She's not going to be laughing at your jokes because you think it's funny. She's not just going to be running up behind you to get your approval. She's already got my approval. So what you're doing right now is making sure you still keep my approval. And I just looked at him, and I was just like, yes, like, I thought that was spiritually sexy. And personally, I thought it was naturally sexy. I just was like, yes, take care of me. Tell them. And that kept happening. And then it became the standard. And then they start making jokes. They call Conell, he has a nickname in his family. They call him Booney. And then they was like, you better not mess with Booney's wife. You better not do that. Like, they all say that. And I just go, that's right. And because I feel protected. And so go ahead, honey.
No, I was just going to say she gives me too much credit because it didn't come without challenges.
It did.
We definitely had to grow through it. But if I can give any men advice on this particular situation, the one thing I definitely say is heed your spouse's warning, or their whatever they're trying to say. Make sure you take heed to it, because I know I would try to, in the beginning, I would try to explain it away, like, that's just my mom, that's just my cousin. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really listening to what she was trying to say. I was just trying to deflect it and be like, because I'm already a person that doesn't like conflict. Mm-hmm. So I would tell her, like, don't worry about it, brush it over, and kind of get past it.
I forgot about that.
And then the simple fact of the matter was, I wasn't taking her feelings into account. Mm-hmm. So I had to really check myself on that, or she checked me, so I had to check myself, because I wasn't really, because you're new to this, you're newly married, and so you're kind of growing and you're grasping the straws to see what works. But you definitely have to make sure you're hearing what your significant other is saying, because you can easily try to just explain it away.
Yeah, and don't let them mess up your relationship.
Yeah,
we have seen, I can't tell you countless relationships where in-law situations or extended family have ruined marriages because they're too much involved in it. The last thing I would say is, don't tell them your business, right? It's so important. You have to keep that to the vest, because don't put them in a, seriously, okay. You can't include them on every possible thing, because you have to realize they're biased and they're going to always choose their family. It's just there's their blood. Don't get mad at them because they choose their family members, because that's what they're assigned to do. That's what they were meant to do. So if you tell them too much and then you've forgiven, they will always remember it, because they don't have the bond and connection that you two have, and you're putting them at a disadvantage. And if I tell you from a spiritual standpoint, is this: in the Bible, it says, let no man separate what God has put together. No man tear it asunder, right? Mm-hmm. That includes you as mates, and that also includes other family members, because you'll put them in opposition of God, and I'll tell you right now, they'll surely lose. So don't do it. Let them, pause.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I love what you said, Conell, about not just brushing it to the side and just being like, that's just how my cousin is. Just, you know what I'm saying? Just ignore them. Because that's what a lot of people do. They think that it's just going to go away, and it doesn't go away. And the other person is going to be affected and altered by that experience.
Agreed.
So you definitely need to check it. And I'm glad that you stood your ground and made sure that they knew that Rhonda was the one and y'all need to roll with it or
You the one, girl. You the one.
roll with it or get rolled over.
Yep.
So, guys, I just want to remind you that the fortune cookie in the center has Rhonda and Conell's website. So you can check them out on me2we love.com. Moving
Yep.
on, I have two more questions before we wrap.
Okay.
So, internet dating. So,
Mhm.
now internet dating is the new way of meeting people, right? Because everyone's so busy, everyone's, doing a bunch of things. And for some people, that's the best way to meet people. But it can also be scary. We watch the news and we see what's happening. What are some of your advice? What is some of the advice that you give to people who are interested in looking for love online, but are a little nervous, or people that might be a little too loose online? Like, what would you say to people wanting to date online?
I know this topic has actually become a more of a point of discussion for us for the simple fact, like we're kind of, I ain't gonna say we're old school because we're '80s babies, but if we're dating ourselves, but like initially we had to come around to this because pre-corona, I would make you put in work. Like you got to go see that girl. Like you can't just be on like swiping right, swiping left. Like where's the fun in that? Like the best thing you can do is engage somebody. Like when I was younger, like it was all about having confidence in yourself, right? So you would approach a woman who you thought was cute and be like, if she shot you down, your daddy would tell you there's more fish in the sea. All right, I keep it moving. But see, online, you're able to swipe right, and if you link up, cool, and if it don't, it's just so much more
Accessible.
yeah, it's so easily accessible. And we tell people all the time, like it's okay to do it, but don't get so caught up in it where you're losing that communication piece again.
Or
you get used to texting versus actually calling somebody. You like I love the fact that when I was a kid, I had to go ride to a girl's house just to talk to her because my mom won't let me use her phone. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. Like those things build your character and it builds up something in you in reference to like really like pursuing somebody versus just coming so easily. Because when it comes easily, you take it for granted, and then you start thinking like, if this whatever this person doesn't do, somebody else will. So I'll go swipe right over there again, But I say all that to say, like, we understand now that it is a part of the times, and it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get bigger. But definitely, if I could say the one thing you shouldn't do is don't give out so much so fast.
Yes.
Like keep a little mystery. Like don't put your whole life online where they know everything about you, and therefore there's no discovery process.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. If I can add, I'm going to give a couple things. One is this. So if we're talking about from a social media standpoint, I include text messaging and texting in that as well. And one of the things I would say is this, and I'm going to give this tip to women and men. It all goes back to that accessibility piece that Conell was talking about. If someone texts you all throughout the day and they can get you every single time they text you, that is not a good sign for them, because you're training them to believe that no matter what they do, that you will drop everything just for them, or two, you don't have a life, so it's okay. They can do whatever they want. And they don't put you on a valuable pedestal like if they had to honor your time and your space. So we're encouraging you. You should not, and I'm not telling you this from a manipulation standpoint either, but if someone's texting you, especially midday, you should give a grace period in that time period before you respond. And this is not meant to be manipulation. This is meaning I have things I have to do. I got work I got to do. I have a life I have to take care of first. And then when I have a moment, which this would be a better window for me to talk freely, I'll get back to you. And that lets people know that you have other priorities, that they're not the center of your life, right? And then you can be selective of who you let in or out. That's one thing I would definitely say. The next thing I would tell you is similar to what my husband said. If you are filtering your picture so much that you're unrecognizable, that's not you. Okay. And so at the end of this, what is your end goal? Do you really want to meet this person? Or are you trying to really put the wool over their head or their eyes, right? Are you trying to hide something that you're not really comfortable about? Are you not being your true authentic self because it's something about you that feels that you wouldn't be able to attract the person that you're trying to get? Okay. And so I'm not saying this to be hurtful, but people love everyone. There's someone for everyone. So you don't have to be something that you're not. Just but find value in who you are. You're special. You're beautiful. You're handsome. You don't need to do all of those things. Okay. And then the third is how big is your social media appetite? Are you putting your whole life online? Meaning when you have disputes, when you have arguments,
All your meals.
all your meals, is everything on there? Like, leave something to the imagination, because there are some really, unfortunately, creepy people out there that will stalk your personal information, and they'll feel like they know you, and then they feel like they can have access or say anything they want to you in the future. And we have had that one happen quite a bit. We have had people that are in our classroom that are arguing on Facebook in the middle of class because they're mad about someone posting something or liking a picture of another. So you got to be very, very careful of that when you're dating, and be careful finally what you're liking, too, because it sends a message to the person you're with. Are you liking the pictures of someone that looks nothing like your mate all the time? That is a red flag, you know what I'm saying? So you got to be concerned. Like, okay, so am I not really your type? Or are you looking for other options? So, we could stay on social media all day long, but we would just hands down tell you, take your time in everything you do. Don't give all your goodies away, because you're a treasure. And, it can't be a treasure if everybody knows where to find it.
I love that. I like that last one. So my last question, the newer generation seems to think that men are supposed to pay for everything. At least this is what I see when I'm online, okay? These girls out here, they think that a man has to spin a bag and blow a this and do this. And I don't even know, the new lingo is crazy, right? Because I'm not from this generation. I might look young, but I'm not.
You do look young. You look beautiful.
But I want to know, guys, what is your advice for people who are dating today? When should they expect the man to pay for their meal? Should they buy a gift for his birthday? Like, for us, I feel like we know what to do, or we did stuff a certain way growing up. But I feel like the new generation, they're just like a little out there.
Agreed.
So what would you say is some great advice for gauging, like, what is normal when it comes to spending money and receiving gifts and being, spoiled or whatever?
Okay. I myself would definitely say, as a man, you have to set the expectation. So I'll let you know up front. I've got this. If I invite you out, that means I'm paying, right? That's just how I want you to see it. And if you would invite me out, I'm not gonna assume that you're gonna do it. But if you do, like, I'll be like, that's dope. But I say set that expectation simply because a woman or a man is only going to do what you will allow them to do, and vice versa, or take what you allow. So if I'm constantly giving you this, and this, you're going to start expecting it, and therefore you're going to fall into that category where you're like, well, you like, for instance, if you did it all that time in the beginning, why wouldn't I assume you're going to continue to be that person, like, however long we're together?
Yeah.
So so I know early on in our relationship, it wasn't so much. We never went Dutch or anything, but we would just take each other out. We would date each other because that's what it is. So, hey, I want to take you to this place. If you're telling me you want to take me to this place, I mean, in my mind, I'm hearing like you want to take me out. But though as a man, I have my wallet, I'm ready to pay. But if you do it, that's great. But I wasn't expecting it. So when she did it, I became, can I say, conditioned to it? Like, I was conditioned to the fact that, we both had each other. And that's the best place you can be at, is when you both have each other. Because if one person's always expecting it, then it becomes cumbersome on the other person. Where if they don't have the means to do it, then it can become an issue. And then also, we tell people all the time, see what you can do with less before you try to do so much with more.
Yeah.
Like, do a $20 date and see how that person responds to that, and see if they're still the same character in that, versus taking somebody to the fanciest restaurant in town.
Come on, baby.
And doing this, that, and the other. because I know like Rhonda's happy with a steakhouse, but she's just as happy with us going to the drive-in,
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
were dating. So that's how you, and like Rhonda, she wasn't saying test somebody, but I would say test their character.
Yeah.
Like if I can take you to a steakhouse, cool, and you dope. But if I can take you on a picnic and you still treat that fine as a 5-star situation, then I know I've got somebody special. But if you're in my feelings about like, why are we on a picnic? We just went to that fancy restaurant. Why can't we do more of that? Then you see their character, and then it's up to you to assess like if that's somebody you really want to be with.
Right. Get them out.
So it's really up to you to kind of like put in essence, put them in both situations, like less with more, and then do more with less, and then see how they respond to both.
Yeah.
And if they can only stay in one lane as far as they want the best, and that's not a bad thing, because if that's what you grow up with and that's what you want, I'm not mad at you. But you can't be mad at me for making a decision like, well, you're not for me, because I need somebody who can kind of move between both lines.
Yeah. Like all I keep hearing is for richer or for poorer.
Oh, yeah,
so
come
if you're
on,
not trying to get married, that's going to be a clear test of doing it. And he's right. We do tell couples have a $20 date. Like set that as the standard. We always tell he's right. He tells the men that off bat. He said, you find out what you can do. How luxurious, how romantic can you make a $20 date, and then do all of that, and then just see what happens and goes from there. And I'll tell you, I personally think the picnic is more romantic than going to a steakhouse and talking to everybody all day. That to me was just so inspiring to me. But what I would also say is just like what Conell said, there's nothing wrong with wanting more, feeling like, oh, we can do this and we can do that. We're not telling you to be complacent in who the person that you're with and that you shouldn't have a standard. But if you're trying to profit off of that person, that is where it's a character flaw issue and you're not into it for the right reasons. So first find out when you're going out with anyone, be intentional when you date, make sure that if you're dating to marry, make that clear off the bat. Like, hey, I'm not really looking to do all these different things. I'm not playing games, but it's going to take time. I know for you to see that in me, but also likewise, I'm seeing that in you. And I'm hoping that this will work out for both of us. But if it doesn't, at least we know we can part ways, and I wish you the best in whatever you do. And I hope you'll wish me the best back. That's what having a big boy, big girl conversation with someone up front. Lay it all out there and then see what they do. But if they're trying to profit off of you and they're like, oh, they better pay for this and they better pay for that, they just want the money. And to be honest, those type of people, they get the money, they just don't get the love. That's why you see so many beautiful people out there who can't be in a relationship, can't have anything work out. And you're just like, dang, you'd be the first person I would think. But it's sometimes they're beautiful on the outside, but they have such ugly character that they're repelling to somebody that would want to marry them.
And Keisha, I have a perfect story for this that she says.
But you got to ask her if we got time.
It's literally like 2 minutes. I apologize.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
And it lines up with this perfectly. So I was a junior in college. I was in college in Mississippi. I was a junior in college. And the girl, I think she was like a sophomore, maybe even a freshman, but she was cute. She was dope. And we would talk every once in a while, we would flirt and this, that, and the other, but it never really jumped off as far as us dating or anything like that. But this one day she called me like, hey, let's go to lunch. I'm thinking the cafeteria or whatever, but she's talking about going off campus. And I'm like, dang, bro, I only got like $20 in my checking account right now. Work study hadn't kicked my money in, so I'm like, okay, cool. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, she invited me out. She's like, let's go. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we go to, I think it was Applebee's or Bennigan's. For those people who know what Bennigan's was.
That's so long.
So we went to one of those two. And so we're in the spot and I'm watching what she ordered because I got $20 just in case she put it on me. So, she ordered this and I ordered that and it's right under $20. And right before this food comes, I lie to you not, she like, nothing, no phone rings, nothing happens. She just like, oh no, I forgot. I got to go do this and this. Let's take it to go. So in my mind, I'm like, did she just try to get a free lunch out of me? I was like, oh, hell no. I was like, we're going to sit here, we're going to eat, and we're going to have a conversation. I swear to you, I said this to this girl, and I sat there and ate my steak fries and looked on her face until I was done. Plus, I drove too. You weren't going nowhere until I finished my lunch. You weren't about to get me. And that was the first and last time I went out with her for real. And she was the cutest girl. But it's like Rhonda said, even the cutest girls have issues about them where they think they're deserving of certain things.
Yep.
And they'll try to manipulate their way through those things.
Yep.
But nah, as soon as you said that story kicked in my mind. I told Rhonda about that one time.
I was dying.
I ain't going for it. Nope.
So funny. I love that
Men
story.
do that too. So I just want to
Yeah.
let you know.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, you gotta, reciprocate. If you like a guy and he takes you out, there's
Yes.
nothing wrong with taking him out.
Not
For
at
his
all.
Nothing.
birthday, you should be buying him a card. You should be buying him a gift if he is the type of man that's doing those things for you. That's
Yes.
how I live, and that's my advice.
Agreed.
Yes.
And
I
plus, it's from the heart too, because like I don't need a gift from you, but if it's from your heart, like that goes a long way with me.
It does. It goes a long way if it's someone if you really care about them. Why
Show
wouldn't you
'em.
want to
Yeah,
take care
show
of them?
'em.
I'll
That's
do
what
it
I'm
with love.
saying. Like, come on,
I'll do them in love. Take
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, Conell and Rhonda, it's always a good time with you guys.
I
Thank you
saw
so
that. I saw
much.
what you did there. Said Rhonda Conell first. You said I saw that. I peeped you. Come on now.
I don't even remember what
Yeah.
I didn't even catch it.
Say it with your chest, Keisha. Say it with your chest.
Thank you so much for being my first guest on Fireside. I really appreciate it. And I had a great time. And you guys, of course, dropped gems as usual. I hope everyone enjoys this episode and the replays. And thank you so much.